Today, I want to talk about something that doesn't get enough attention, and that is teenage relationship abuse. Hi, welcome back. Today we're going to have a tough conversation, so let's just dive right in. Have you ever thought about the kind of relationship your daughter or son might tolerate one day? Not just who they're going to date, but what they will accept. Today, I want to talk about something that doesn't get enough attention, and that is teenage relationship abuse. Not adult marriage abuse, teenage relationships. Because patterns don't start at 30, they start way earlier. We're talking like 13 to 15. I know this not because I have teenagers, but because I lived it. This isn't about fear, it's about awareness. Because what our children normalize in their teenage years can shape the women and men that they become. As moms, we get together and we talk a lot about our children. We talk about grades, we talk about schools, we talk about bullying, their friends, how social media impacts them, their safety at school and outside of it. But we don't always talk about what respect in relationships and in dating looks like. And the truth is, teenage relationship abuse rarely looks like what we picture. It doesn't always start physical. It often starts emotional. There's control, jealousy, possessiveness, isolation. Isolation is a huge one. And because they're young, it gets labeled as, he just cares. She's protective. He loves her so much. And sometimes what looks like young love is just the beginning of control. I want to pause here for a moment because this conversation is actually very timely. There is an event happening tomorrow called the Teen Dating Violence Awareness Summit. It's at Redeemer Church in Jackson, Mississippi, with the speaker is Pastor Elbert McGowan Jr. I've never been to this church and I've never heard this pastor speak, but I did see where they shared it and I wanted to share it as well. They're asking everyone to wear orange to bring awareness to dating violence. And I love that this conversation is being brought into churches and into our community, because this is something we all need to be aware of, not just parents quietly at home. Awareness is the first step to prevention. If you are aware that something can happen, you can try to prevent it. So if you're local, I encourage you to show up, wear orange, and support this message, because these conversations truly matter. The reason this topic matters to me personally is because I lived it. When I was a teenager, I was in a relationship from 13 until 18 that, looking back on it now as an adult and as a mother, I can clearly see it was unhealthy. At the time, I didn't have the maturity to label it that way. I genuinely thought, this is love. He cares about me. He doesn't want to lose me. And if he's jealous, that's because I matter to him. That's because he loves me so much. And when you're young, you don't always recognize those red flags. You normalize them. You start to adjust. You manage emotions and you try to keep the peace. And what is happening is unhealthy behavior starts to feel normal. That experience didn't just affect that season of my life. It shaped what I thought love looked like for a long time. It shaped what I was willing to tolerate, and it shaped how I saw myself, my worth. And that is why this matters so much, because teenage years are when identity and self-worth are forming. And what a young girl tolerates then, or boy, they carry that into their adulthood. So what does teenage relationship abuse actually look like? Well, let's talk about that practically. You're gonna see extreme jealousy, constant checking phones, not like normal teenagers just leave it on their phones, but constantly checking their phone or checking in. Isolation from friends, mood control, and emotional guilt. You're going to hear things said like, if you loved me, you made me act like that. Oh, I heard that one a million times. I just care about you so much. So if your children seem anxious about upsetting their boyfriend or their girlfriend, pay attention. If they seem less confident than before, pay attention. And if they feel responsible for someone else's emotions, pay attention. Talk to your kids. That's not just teenage drama. That can be the start of emotional control. What kids normalize young, they often normalize later. If they learn at 16 that jealousy equals love, they may accept control at 26. If they learn that keeping peace means shrinking, they may shrink in marriage. We have to teach our children early that love should feel safe. Love should feel peaceful. Love should not feel like fear or pressure. And most importantly, they should always feel worthy of respect. I'm not sharing this from fear, but from awareness, because I've been the teenage girl who didn't fully understand what was happening. And now I'm the mother who does. Our children deserve healthy love. They deserve peace. They deserve confidence and safety in relationships. And the earlier we start these conversations, the stronger they're going to be later. Moms, have these conversations with your kids. I'm going to tell you right now, if you try to dig into their life, they're going to shut you out, because that's exactly what I did. People are probably like, well, why didn't your mom know? Because I didn't let her know. And he had me so convinced that everything that happened to me, I brought it on myself. So I never talked to my mom about that, because I didn't want to hear that he wasn't what I needed, because that's what I wanted. So when you go to have these chats with your kids, instead of prying into their business, tell them a story about something that happened to you or a friend or somebody you know that relationship wasn't healthy, and find a way to bring awareness to them of what that unhealthy relationship looks like. They will put 2 and 2 together on their own, and let them kind of have that light bulb moment. So instead of going, why does your girlfriend always want you to check in? You can have a conversation, not right after it happens, because then they're going to know you're doing typical mom. Oh, let me tell you what you should be doing. So instead, find moments to be like, man, one time when I was young, I had this boyfriend. I never told you about this. And the reason that we didn't work out is because he kept me from my friends. And I slowly started to realize I was really isolated and I didn't have them. And so that's how I ended up meeting your father instead. Something simple like that. And that way it just lets them understand this is a common thing that can happen. They're going to have that moment of being like, oh, wait a minute. My girlfriend does that to me. And we got to talk to our boys, okay? I know we tend to think that girls are the ones that get abused, but boys get abused too. Girls are manipulative, and they're really good at doing it, because boys tend to get angry and be very forceful with their opinion, like, why didn't you call me? But girls are sneaky. They tend to be the type that's like, why can't I go with you everywhere you go? Like, why do you need to be by yourself? Why didn't you text me as soon as you got home? And that slowly ends up being a control problem, and our boys don't even realize it. So check in with your kids, have those tough conversations just like we're having right now, and just, if you have the time or you want to go to that summit, please go check it out. I think it'll be a great event to help parents understand a little bit more. Anyway, next time we're going to talk about marriage relationship abuse. So until next time.